Find out what's making you sick and how to heal. Anthony William is the medical medium.
Hello, I'm Anthony William. You're listening to the Medical Medium Radio Show, where each week I bring you the most advanced medical information with chronic illness, regarding chronic illness. Advanced meaning ahead of science and research, decades ahead of what's out there now. It's important to know that, because when you come to this radio show, and if you're brand new, you need to know that this is information you haven't heard somewhere else. And if you did hear it, I've been passing that information around for decades with doctors and working with lots of different health professionals throughout the years, providing this information. And it's really important. This stuff means something, because what happens is when you're suffering and you're struggling and you've been to 10, 20, 30 doctors with no answers, you've been to a few different neurologists, you've been recommended to specialists, and what happens is your answers are always the same, or your body's attacking itself, or it's your genes, or we don't know what's wrong, or it's all in your head, or your fatigue and your anxiety, your depression. Everything is all in your head. And then what people do, they lose hope, and they have to struggle and fight for their freedom to heal. And then they're looking for answers. And when you finally stumble across what's really happening, what causes all of these different conditions and symptoms, you become empowered. You rise out of it. You rise out of the ashes, out of sickness, into the light. And that's where we need to be. This is really, really an important day. Today's episode, we're talking about teeth decay. We're talking about demineralization. We're talking about problems with the teeth, gums. We're talking about issues like that, and we're talking about celery juice. We're talking about celery juice and how it plays a role in oral health and how important this is. So this is a big deal. This is a big day, because there's so many people with teeth problems and health problems regarding their oral health. Because what happens is when you have gum disease, when you have cavities that keep on happening, when you have root canals, when you need implants, when you have all these different pains, aches in the jaw, trigeminal neuralgia, which people don't even know is happening, and they just drill teeth, and dentists are just drilling teeth and doing root canals when someone's really dealing with a viral issue or trigeminal neuralgia or an issue in the nerve in the jaw or a fascial nerve, and people are unaware of this. And they end up getting so much unnecessary dental work. And I'm not saying dentists aren't working for people and doing incredible things and incredible work. I'm just saying that we're lacking in so many areas of medicine. In oral health, we're really lacking in so many places. We're talking about celery juice, how it helps your oral health today, like what it can do, the power it has to restore, revitalize, and remineralize. Talking about the Medical Medium Celery Juice book. It's information that's coming straight out of that book. If you don't have that book, make sure you find it. You can get it at Target, at Costco's, at Barnes and Noble. You can get it on Amazon. So look for the book. It's so important. And if you're overseas, book the depository or Chapters Indigo in Canada. But you need to find the book, because it's going to be a big part of you juicing celery, moving forward, learning this information. So let's go into it, you guys. That's why I'm here. So when someone has teeth decay and problems like that, it's demineralization. This starts in an early year in your life. So early, it can start in the womb. It can go all the way back, because that's the whole point. Our parents, their parents, their parents, their parents could be demineralized. Yes. When we when we think about deficiencies, when we go someplace like to a doctor, a functional medicine doctor, or to a naturopath, or to somebody or a health professional, and they're like, look, doing blood work on you, we're doing some profiles, we're taking a look at everything, and we're seeing you're deficient in some things. When that happens, can you imagine, were your parents deficient years before? Were their parents deficient years before? What was it like? Did they even get enough good food? What about when you look back into the Depression back in the 1920s, and you go back that far, 1920s and early 1930s, and you see, wait a minute, were my grandparents, were my great-great-grandparents, were they getting enough food? Like, what kind of life goes back? Where were we in the world? And you look at your lineage, however, but it comes early. These deficiencies get passed on down the line, including toxins that we get passed on down the line, like the mercury and the heavy metals, especially the mercury. And mercury causes problems with teeth and gums. So when we're not getting the right minerals from these foods that we need, or we're eating the wrong foods and drinking coffee Coffee demineralizes the teeth. It dissolves teeth over time. It wears them down. It stains them. It breaks them down. And if we think that drinking coffee is good for our teeth, if that's what you want to believe, you know what? I'm not going to stand in the way. Just take that belief. You can keep it. You can put it in your back pocket and maybe find some fake science, that says it determines coffee's really good for you or something like that, because that's what happens. All the sciences are all messed up right now. They're throwing it all around everywhere in different levels and different ways. If you think coffee's good for you or good for your teeth or anything, look, I'm not going to get in the way, but I'm going to tell you right now, we do a lot of things. It's not just about drinking coffee. We eat a diet high in fat. But I want to go back to coffee 1 second. If you drank coffee 20 years ago, 10 years ago, you can get teeth problems 20 years later, 15 years later because of it. Just because, say you're young right now and you're drinking coffee every day and things are good, but you get teeth problems like 10 years from now. It's things like this. And things like the high-fat diet, too, lots of dairy products, just destroys teeth. It's incredible. And, people make fun of a piece of fruit, like an apple for your teeth being bad for your teeth. What about dairy? Do you know how much sugar is in dairy? Lactose is so highly concentrated in cheese alone, so highly concentrated. Milk is all sugar. It's literally all sugar. It coats the teeth and gums, rots them. An apple cleans the teeth and gums, cleans them. This is an example of the misinformation that's out there today, right now. That alone. The acidity from those foods like coffee, the acidity that happens internally in the body when you eat dairy products or a piece of cheese, what kind of acidity that causes on an organ-based level deep in the organs, and how that can play a role with the teeth. We're going to cover a lot of good stuff here. So let's go into it a little bit. What covers all these teeth problems? I mean, what causes all these teeth problems is what I mean. Like, what can do that? It's the demineralization I'm covering now. It's not eating the right foods. That's another thing right there. And the whole thing about not eating the right foods is really important. We're going to go deeper into that as we go along in the show. Just, hang in there, fasten the seatbelts. That's what I would do, because this one's intense. See, many of us have bacteria. Actually, all of us have bacteria in us. That many of us that was an understatement. All of us have bad bacteria inside of our bodies, waiting to get their day, waiting to feed off of something, waiting to actually be fed. Bacteria likes to eat. Viruses like to eat. No one still to this day out there is talking about that except for the medical medium information. It's not out there, but it's advanced information. It's so powerful. Bugs have to eat to stay alive. A fly has to eat something to stay alive. Every single insect, every single living creature, living organism, living microorganism on this planet has to eat in order to stay alive. So when science and research says that viruses don't feed off of anything, it's just unbelievable. I just love that one. I love that one. Oh, so microorganisms, those happen to be spared. They don't eat anything, but every single other microorganism on the planet has to feed off of something in order to thrive or survive. But no, these viruses no one wants to talk about, like the Epstein-Barr's, just wreaking havoc, causing every symptom and condition and causing Lyme symptoms. And think about that. Think about how it works. These viruses and bacteria were grown in labs. They were grown in labs, raised on food. They were raised on food. So we all have bad bacteria in us that was raised on food to begin with before it even entered our bodies. That's right. That's right. I'm just being straight out right there. Raised in labs, science labs, if you want to call them that, however you want to call them. And basically the bottom line, that's what happened. In the world of medicine, pharmaceutical labs, going all the way back decades and decades and decades ago, bugs basically proliferated in labs, were grown there, and they were fed food. And the deep deep, darkest parts of our industries and no one really talks about. They just talk about big pharma and they talk about this and that and selling drugs and all these things. But the deeper and the money involved, but the deeper, darker parts of the industries that wants women destroyed or women empowerment just crushed. They want them sick. They want women thinking their bodies are attacking and destroying itself. They want men completely in the dark about their health, so that their sons and their daughters never really achieve good health for the future when they get all these different conditions like early fibromyalgia, early CFS, early conditions of all these kinds. And when you think about it, people are kept down. And in the laboratories, these bugs were raised. And guess what they were fed? They were fed lactose. They were fed eggs. They were fed these foods is what they were fed. And we eat the eggs. Oh, it's a perfect food. We're taught, oh, the eggs are a perfect food. So good for us. Oh, blah, blah. And what happens is we get taught all that. And we end up eating them. And yeah, they taste good. So, hey, we're going to keep on eating them. And when something tastes good and we're told it's so good for us, we're going to eat them. We're going to rely on those high fatty foods, especially like the eggs that fed bacteria and viruses, the very things that are in our bodies waiting for us to eat foods like eggs so we can get those bacteria and viruses. And guess what? Those bacteria and the viruses, when those things sit inside of us and they eat, they release poison and toxins. And today's show, I'm not going to talk about the neurotoxins that they release causing neurological Lyme, like I always talk about. I'm not going to talk about the dermatoxins they release that causes eczema and psoriasis, because we're on a teeth show. This is like teeth and then all the other stuff, gums and oral health. But what they release is ammonia. That's what they release. These bugs release ammonia. And when that ammonia is released, because it's putrefying, rotting food being devoured by microorganisms in or our digestive tract and in our body in different various places. And that outgassing creeps up as you're laying in bed all night long. It creeps up into your mouth, and that's what gives you that kind of like in the morning, like, okay, gonna go and brush my teeth and do a little gargle of something and the whole bit. And what happens is that bacteria, it just thrives down in there in everybody. And some of the bacteria is not aggressive at all. It's not like Streptococcus. It's not like the C. diff. It's not like E. coli. It's not all the things that everybody has, because strep causes UTIs and sinusitis and styes, and strep causes sinus migraines, and strep causes bladder infections and yeast infections, and Streptococcus causes all these things, and sore throats and other stuff like this that I talk about all the time. And acne, it causes acne. But there's other types of bacteria. All kinds. We're loaded with bacteria in our guts. Bad bacteria. And it can get a chance to thrive if you're not doing your celery juice. You're not doing your celery juice and knocking it down. You're not drinking your celery juice every day and keeping it in check. Because if you don't want to keep it in check and you're eating things that cause trouble, then you're going to be in trouble. That's how it works. So if you got a problem developing, if you got something developing, then with your mouth in any kind or any level, it was developing years prior. It was happening. It wasn't happening then. It wasn't happening in the moment like we get deceived. It was happening a long time ago. It's like a time capsule. It's like a time clock. If you got teeth problems today, if you got cavities growing today, it's not from what you've been doing the last couple of years. Most likely, it's what, of course, you could still be doing the wrong things the last couple of years, but it comes even deeper and longer ago. It goes further back. It wasn't the new diet you just started a couple of days ago or a couple of months ago. It wasn't that. That's not what it is at all, because that's not how teeth work. That's not how gums work. It stems from a deeper issue long ago. You know what happens, I notice, with the plant-based people? They get picked on if they have one problem. They get one problem. All they need is a toothache. All they need is a tiny cavity growing when you're plant-based, all vegan or plant-based. All you need is one little anything, a little cough, a little tooth problem, and you get shunned by the entire industry. It's your diet, it's your plant-based diet. You have no protein, it's your plant-based diet. And that's what happens. Meanwhile, the dentist chairs and offices are filled with meat-eating people, high-protein-based people. Because what do you mean? There's not enough vegans to fill dentist offices. There's only a handful of vegans, really, when you look at it. It's like a grain of rice compared to a silo of rice. A silo of rice being all the people that eat meat in the world. And I'm not against that. I'm not going one way or another. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about one thing I'm noticing. If you're plant-based, you're blamed on anything happening in your mouth is because of your diet. It's instantly you're blamed on. And I love the plant-based diets. I think if you love one, you're on one, you should stay on one 100%. Absolutely. I've seen it turn lives around and save lives. For over 35 years, I've watched it save lives. And if you're into a clean, no processed, no fried foods, no, fast foods, and you're into animal products and you're eating real clean animal products, and you're being cautious on how many you eat because you're getting enough leafy greens and fruits and vegetables, and you're getting some juices like celery juice in, I'm all for that too. But I'm going to tell you right now, the dentist chairs are filled with people who are eating animal proteins. And I'm not saying it's the animal proteins that are doing it unless it's something like eggs, because eggs will feed bad bacteria to outgas, creep up into your mouth all night long and break your teeth down. But I'm talking about the high-fat, high-protein diets in general cause a lot of gut rot. And that includes for the vegans and the plant-based people and for the animal product people. High fats go rancid, they pack onto the walls of the intestinal tract, and then everybody gets teeth problems. Whether you're vegan, plant-based, whether whatever you are, animal protein, whatever, keto, paleo, tack on a new name. They'll come out with a new name tomorrow, and they'll make sure that they invest $100 million into it so you guys spend $5 billion on a new diet out there in the world. Because that's what it is. All trends are backed by money interest groups and finances. And the whole thing and financial, basically propelling it. And celery juice isn't, by the way. I'm going to give you that one little tidbit. Celery juice is freedom. It's not backed by that impurity. It's pure. It's there. It's your freedom ticket, just like so many of the other medical medium tools. You notice there's no infomercials on my SoundCloud? You know that? There's, on the Hay House radio show, there's no infomercials? Of me breaking it up in the middle and trying to sell you 10 things 24/7 and all this other stuff. You notice that, right? And you go to my YouTube channel, you don't see advertising. You don't see all this advertising and everything else. Because there's a reason for that. Just like the celery juice is freedom for you, the medical medium information is freedom for you. Everything here is freedom for you to get better, because that's what it's about. It's about you healing. It's about you healing and recovering, not about anything else. And it's not about me. It's about you getting the information. So here's the deal. The dentist office chairs are not filled with the plant-based people. Okay? Plant-based people still have teeth problems. Absolutely. Everybody does. Everybody does. Because you could still be doing the plant-based diet wrong. You can still be doing your vegan diet wrong, your vegetarian diet wrong, your paleo diet wrong, your keto diet wrong. You can still be doing all of them wrong, even though they're better than what you did before, even though no processed foods, no gluten, even though it's better than what it was years ago. You could still be doing it wrong. And you can still end up in the dentist chair, getting your teeth drilled, getting those teeth drilled. And what happens is, and that's how it works. So you got like a thimble worth of vegans on the planet, and you got literally a gigantic 5-gallon bucket of water worth of animal protein people, okay, and a thimble of water for the vegans. The dentist offices across the world are filled and saturated with meat-eating people, but nobody says it's their diet. Nobody ever says it's their diet unless they eat a piece of fruit. They end up in a dentist chair and they say, well, what do you eat? Well, I eat all this. I eat gluten-free grains, gluten-free bread. I have my chicken every day. I have, I had this really healthy pasture-raised ham. I have that once in a while. I had a turkey sandwich the other day. It was on this gluten-free bread. I had some almond butter shakes. I had lots of almond milk. I had all of that. Yeah. I forgot to tell you, doctor. I had an apple last week. Oh, it's the fruit. It's the apple. That's what's causing all your dental problems. That's what they'll say. It's the apple. That's what's causing the dental problems. They didn't say anything. They won't say anything else. Or what kind of diet do you have? Talking to the patient, a doctor talking to the patient. What kind of diet do you have, Susan? Oh, well, I'm on a plant-based diet now, and this is my first cavity, or I used to get cavities years ago, but now I just got another cavity, and I've been plant-based now. I've been eating a little bit of this, fruits and some vegetables and some tofu and this and that. And they're going to be like, it's your plant-based diet. They're going to blame it right on your plant-based diet 100% instantly and say you're lacking protein. You're probably getting too much sugar. Well, that's weird. I don't know how I'm getting that much sugar. I'm eating so much, so much almond butter and so much coconut oil, and I'm doing kind of the keto plant-based. It's still your diet. It's still your diet if it's plant-based. No one gives a plant-based person a break. No dentist, no doctor, nobody out there. I mean, I'm sure a couple might, but that's about it. But anybody who's eating animal products, they get a free pass. Instead, it's blamed on something else. Not the candy bars they ate all through childhood. They blame it on the apple they had. They blame it on the berries. They blame it on the banana they ate. Oh, you eat a banana every other day? Oh, it's the banana that's doing it every other day. If you're, say, a high protein person and you're in the dental chair. It's not the chocolate cake you had 5 years ago. It's not all the garbage and chocolate cakes and bagels you ate when you were in high school. It's not all the bagels you ate when you were in college. It's not the fact that you got demineralized in college, completely demineralized in college for 4 straight years, and nobody even knows you had the cafeteria food, or you were out with friends getting pizza every single other night. It's not that. That was 10 years ago. No one sees really what's happening and what's going on, the demineralization on the deeper level, the problems on the deeper level. It's unbelievable. We live in a small world when it comes to our health, in the sense where information and answers, they're not abound. They're not easy to find because they're not out there. I mean, they're here on the Medical Medium show, but they're not out there. And the real problem is everybody is sick with something developing inside of them. They're sick with viruses, bacteria, even some fungus. They're sick with things inside of them developing. Toxic heavy metals, mercury, aluminum, lead, arsenic, all of it inside their systems, inside their liver, pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, poisons from air fresheners, conventional household cleaners, constantly in everybody's livers for years, old pharmaceuticals just saturated in people's livers, all of this sitting inside of them. And people are developing conditions and symptoms. And oral health and teeth and gums are part of it. Not because you changed your diet yesterday. Not because of something else going on. Because we're all developing basically compromises within our system with all of these different toxins, poisons, and pathogens. And no one talks about that. That is the key right there. And everybody has low hydrochloric acid from a weakened liver. When your HCl is low, your proteins rot. So if you're vegan, your tofu is going to rot, but which is protein and fat combined, of course. Nobody talks about that. Your nuts and seeds, your peanut butter, all of it is going to rot. Protein and fat. Once again, your fats are going to go rancid in your peanut butter. Your protein in your peanut butter is going to rot. It's going to rot. Almond butters, walnuts, going to rot. Chia seeds, hemp seeds, going to rot. That's how it works. And even if you put oils in you, like coconut oil and olive oil, low HCl means also low bile inside the liver too. And if you got that low bile in the liver, then you got a problem. The fats go rancid. If you're doing oils now, like coconut oil, these are all healthy fats I'm talking about. I know that. I don't want to confuse you. They're healthy fats. But when we're bombarding our systems with that, eating these healthier diets, and then our teeth are going problematic, we're confused. We don't know where to go, what to do. First of all, you got the original problem. We ate all that garbage throughout our whole life or most of our life. That's one thing. And if you've been eating good since you were a child because you have parents that have fed you nothing but wheatgrass and, and barley grass, and they're feeding you nothing but good stuff, and they're feeding you celery juice and all this stuff, and you're 5, 6, 7 years old and you get a cavity, that's because that's originally from the whole thing at the beginning. That's going all the way back. That's our ancestry. That's going back to the deficiencies I'm talking about that are years past, and the toxins and mercury that are in our parents, and then the mercury that gets passed on a generation to our children, and other toxins that get passed on to generations to our children, because not everybody has had a perfectly clean environment, diet, or lifestyle. It's not possible. And so we pass these things on. And that's another thing too. So if you were somebody that at 5, 10 years old were fed really healthy food, and now you're 30 years old, because this is what I'm trying to say, and you're not 5 anymore, but you're 30 years old and you're getting problems, it doesn't mean you didn't come into the world with weaknesses and deficiencies, and you're not doing things still right. You're not doing them right. And that's okay. We're all trying to do the best that we can. Any health food in us is good. Even if it is too many high fats or too many high proteins and not enough leafy greens. Not enough leafy greens and not enough fruits and not enough berries and not enough wild blueberries and all these other things that we need for a long time in our life. Even if it's not all that and our parents didn't do it and their parents didn't do it, we do the best we can, and not enough celery juice. And no one did celery juice. No one did it. Generations past. If you hear somebody that comes up with, in 1955, somebody's doing celery juice, they weren't doing celery juice. They were doing celery root. They were doing celery root. It's so easy to skew information to this day. So easy. No one thought celery had any real value or worth, and was even worth juicing by itself, a certain level of it every single day as a therapy that did not exist anywhere outside of the medical medium information, because I got it from the source. I got it from the source, spirit. And that's the whole point. The rotting fats and the rotting proteins in the gut that putrefy and go rancid feed bacteria and pathogens such as streptococcus, such as H. pylori. That's right. Everybody has H. pylori in them. Just because it doesn't show up on a blood test doesn't mean you don't have it, because it's low grade. Low grade doesn't show up on a blood test. We all pass it around. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. You get it from a restaurant. You get it from people's old dishes. Do you think the dishwasher in the restaurants clean off those dishes, right? Pathogens survive on those dishes. They survive in lipstick. Lipstick sits on glasses in the restaurant over and over and over again. Petroleum-based, toxic, heavy metal-laden lipsticks, aluminum-laden lipsticks sit on all the glasses and never really comes off as they run through the dishwasher in the restaurants, or someone's hand washing them in the restaurants. They're not scrubbing and disinfecting that lipstick off of there that's containing H. pylori, streptococcus, and everything else. We pass around so much bacteria, it is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. And then that bacteria sits down in the gut with your low hydrochloric acid, because your liver's beaten down and your stomach glands are worn down from high-fat diets or previous diets long before with previous fast food diets, previous all this, and we get broken down. Our stomach glands get broken down, our HCl isn't produced, our gastric acid isn't produced. And then what happens when all of this is going wrong with low bile reserves in your liver, a weakened liver, low HCl in your stomach because your gastric glands are shot? Yeah, everybody walks around with shot gastric glands, and they're shot. Those gastric glands are just weakened stomach glands. Incredible. I'm still laughing about the stomach gland thing, by the way, you guys. I have to say it for 2 seconds. I'm still laughing about it. I put out information about how celery juice revives the stomach glands. And for some reason, some smart Alex decided to put out there are no stomach glands. Goes to show you how smart medical medium is. There are no stomach glands. Yes, there is. There is. And these are health professionals. There actually is stomach glands. They're the ones that produce your gastric acid and create your HCl. But that's actually how many people just don't want you to get the information. From dietitians that aren't the good ones, the bad dietitians, nutritionists that aren't the good ones, that actually care about people and no other information exists besides what they learned in their school, their little school. So you have to understand something. This is advanced information. There are some good people out there. There's good dietitians, good nutritionists, great doctors, all these great people out there that do know this information is changing the world right now, and celery juice is that critical for people. And they don't buy into the bull. But the thing is, it's incredible what happens. Yes, your gastric glands create that gastric juice, which basically harbors that HCl and that 7 blend that no one talks about. This is new information out there in the world for medical medium, where the 7 blend hydrochloric acid, not one type of hydrochloric acid in our stomachs. And the blend means a lot because it depends on what kind of protein you can digest because of your hydrochloric acid and break down. It's not lectins. It's not other stuff. It's not that whatever. It's actually your HCl being so weakened, and 3 out of 4 of the gastric juices in your HCl out of your 7 blend of HCl that aren't working properly enough, so you can't digest a peanut, so you can't digest a walnut good, so you can't digest a piece of chicken good, so you can't digest something else that has a protein, so you can't digest something else that has something. This is how it works. And so you can't digest gluten. This is how it works. Fruit does not cause teeth problems. It does not cause teeth problems. No one's eating fruit. You talking about the strawberries and somebody's strawberry shortcake they had 10 years ago every year for 10 years? Are you talking about the banana split ice cream with all the sugar and garbage and the candy things on top and all the different snow caps on top? You talking about that? You talking about the frozen yogurt with all the different stuff you can sprinkle all over the top of your frozen yogurt? Talking about that fruit people eat? Which fruit are you talking about? Blueberries and a blueberry muffin that you ate over the years? I'm just wondering how much fruit people really ate. Because when I last checked, nobody's really eating fruit unless it's in an alcoholic beverage or something else. I mean, sure, the medical medium community eats fruit. They do. And there are people, places around the country and around the globe and around the world that are eating some fruit. But they could also be having deficiencies from a long time ago, problems before they eat enough fruit. Fruit has minerals in it. That's the whole deception too. Because if you start eating a little bit more fruit and you ever get a cavity, it's going to get blamed on the fruit. That's how it works. It's not going to get blamed on all the other foods in your diet. It's not going to be blamed on your diet for 10 years ago. It's not going to be blamed on anything else. It's not going to be blamed on any of that. I mean, and I've never said just eat fruit and fruit alone. Ever, ever, ever. It's because people are lacking something else in all of their diets, regardless of fruit, or their fruit-free, or their sugar-free diets, or their keto diets. They all get, their teeth rot. Their teeth rot. Happens every day. I talk to dentists all the time. They never see a vegan in their chair, or somebody who just eats fruit in their chair. I talk to dentists all the time, and what people are missing is celery juice. None of these people that are on a keto diet, paleo diet, plant-based diet, or any of these diets are drinking celery juice. I mean, you guys are now. But the point is, I talk to dentists all the time, dental surgeons I talk to. And they tell me, there's not a vegan they've seen in their chair. I mean, not because vegans don't have dental health problems. It's because they're busy working on everybody else that's on a clean paleo diet or a clean keto diet or no diet at all, meaning they're just on standard American. But they're working and drilling all these teeth. And you know what I mean? And once in a while, when they get that one plant-based person in their chair, it's like, whoa! It's like a Sasquatch was spotted, a Bigfoot was spotted. That's what it's like. And God forbid that plant-based person says, "I eat fruit." Oh, forget it. Forget it. It's the kiss of death for that. You know, for as far as being taken the blame on stuff. Nobody eats fruit. Even plant-based people. There's very few of them that actually eat fruit. Maybe they'll get some berries in them. Maybe they'll talk about on social media how they had some really good strawberries one time. But they're doing the nut milks and they're doing the peanut butter and almond butter on their oatmeal, and they're doing all of these things, and they're doing their tofu, and they're doing other things. They're always eating something, even when they're not really telling you they are. They end up breaking and doing it. They're eating chocolate, too much cacao. Think about all the cacao people are eating, killing their adrenal glands. A little bit of chocolate once in a while. If you're feeling good, you're not compromised, you're not dealing with any illnesses, you want to play around with cacao, whether it's raw cacao or anything like that, you can do that. Raw chocolate, you could do that. But the point is, if you're really compromised, just don't shoot that caffeine. Don't kill those adrenals. Don't get yourself sicker, because when you're really compromised, it's not good to do too much chocolate. A little bit, sure. You want to have fun, a little bit's fine. But the point is that's what people are eating. That's what they're doing, and they're still having dental problems left and right. Fruit helps dispel rancid fats and rotting proteins from your intestinal lining. That's right. Pectin from the apple travels and binds on to debris that's in your intestinal lining, rotting protein, rotting fat that's all through there. Fruit helps to do this. Apples clean your gums when you're chewing an apple. Fruit acid kills bacteria. The acid in apple kills bacteria. This is important to understand when you're eating your apple, when you're eating your oranges, These don't hurt you. So whether you're paleo, whether you're high protein, whether you're plant-based, whether you're vegan, whether you're vegetarian, don't be afraid of a little bit of fruit because it's not going to hurt your teeth. Bacteria preys on eggs. It preys on dairy products. It preys on gluten. Bacteria feeds off of those things right there. And then when your diets are so high in protein and fat and it's rotting, the bloodstream gets filled with gases, the bloodstream gets filled with rancid fat, and then bacteria thrives even more. Bacteria sits in the gums on the gum line, which everybody knows, burrows into the teeth, causing cavities, causing divots, causing holes. And these cavities that are starting today are only starting. The bacteria was always there. Remember that. It was always there. They're starting today because of deficiencies from 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 8 years ago. In small children, it's because the small children were born with deficiencies in minerals to begin with and vitamins to begin with. And they didn't continue to get what they needed as they were going through life. How much celery juice were they drinking? They aren't getting the minerals and vitamins from fruits and vegetables and the glucose they need as well. And what about the toxic heavy metals that are in children? That's passed on from generation to generation or coming from pharmaceuticals. What about the toxic heavy metals and the mercury and the aluminum? What about that? Nobody's weighing and measuring that. They'll weigh and measure a piece of fruit, for God's sake. But are they going to weigh and measure the mercury and the aluminum exposure or the fluoride treatments? It's incredible. Go to a dentist, okay? Because you're trying to take care of your teeth and protect them and get a fluoride treatment. And then the fluoride treatment, I'm not recommending get a fluoride treatment. And then when you get the fluoride treatment, what that is aluminum byproduct. So you're going to the dentist to try to get oral health, to try to gain oral health, to try to keep oral health healthy in the first place, and you end up getting a fluoride treatment that totally intoxicates you. You get a neurotoxin-based fluoride treatment. That's what it is. It's neurotoxins. Poisons is really what it is. Aluminum byproduct. Feed all the bacteria, feed all the viruses in our body. Incredible. Lower the immune system. And that's what we get. And then we're going to blame it on a piece of fruit. Let's blame it on an apple or a berry. Let's blame it on one piece of mango we ate. Let's just blame it on a raisin or a grape. Incredible. This is the world we live in. Let's talk about how celery juice helps. Let's go there a little bit. Celery juice helps because it's loaded with a vitamin C. A vitamin C that doesn't need to be converted. I love vitamin C supplements. I always have. I've always recommended the best ones out there year after year, and it always changes because when a company lets me down and doesn't rise up to make a better quality supplement when it's possible, I ditch them. I have no loyalty whatsoever to supplement companies. The minute they alter or shift or don't rise up or don't communicate, and when I call them up and I try to reach out to them and contact them and say, hey, my name's Anthony William, I'm the medical medium, and I've always recommended your products, you guys, and to people because I want people to get healthy, but you have this stuff in there, now you have some natural flavors in there, and now you have this, and they don't reach out, then they don't think my people are important. And that's not good right there. That's not good at all. Recently, what I heard out there is people say, well, why didn't Spirit know that these supplement companies were going to change or alter their ingredient list and not be as good as they're supposed to be? That's not how it works. It's what's best now in the moment that you can actually get. I recommend all these different supplement companies that I like because in the moment, it's the best you can get or find on planet Earth. And that's our availability. So that's what I recommend in that moment. To heal. That's the whole point. In order to heal, you need the best what's out there right now. It's not about trying to predict if some, dummy in the company is going to try to save 10 cents on a bottle and shortchange the people that are chronically ill. And when that happens, guess what? I stop recommending the product. That's the whole point. I stop. I immediately stop. And that's the whole point. Because it's about what you have in the moment. See, people have free will. I can't control people's free will. There's nothing Spirit can do to control people's free will out there. So if a supplement company has something to offer that's good, Spirit can't control the free will of some dummy inside that company that wants to save 10 cents and doesn't care about the chronically ill in the moment. That's going to be that person's decision, that when they wake up in the morning, they have their own soul and spirit. I can't control them. Spirit can't control. Spirit doesn't control anybody. That's the whole point. I mean, that's ridiculous when somebody says that. They'll say, well, why didn't Spirit? No, are you saying Spirit's supposed to control everybody out there? Are they supposed to control you? Or are they supposed to control? No. Spirit's supposed to say, look, in a compassionate way, here's a product that is actually going to help someone heal and work. Here's a product that won't cause problems in their life and can help them heal and work. And that's what Spirit does. And it's my job to keep an eye on the people in these companies. I call and be like, hey, my name's Anthony William. I don't know if you heard of me. I'm the medical medium. Can you give me a call back? And if they don't call me back and their products are changing and they're not listening to me, I'm like, oh, guess what? I have no loyalty. You're never going to get a recommendation. I'm never going to recommend that product ever again. That's how it works. And so, like, for instance, the vitamin C, the product I recommend now is the Vimergy. It's V as in Victor, Imergy. Vimergy, they have the best vitamin C out there. And they have the best products out there. They have sworn to me that they would not let somebody in their company that's going to say, hey, somebody in marketing or somebody and say, hey, let's save 5 cents so we can try to make this company do this or that or whatnot. They said they'd never do that in a million years because they know what it's like to struggle and suffer, and they know what it's like to see people struggle and suffer, and they don't want to see that ever happening again with people. They want them to have the best everything. It doesn't matter what it is, the best of everything. So I stand for them, just like I stand for other companies too. There's companies I've seen that haven't put natural flavors in their teas yet. I couldn't believe it. Good companies. I'm like, great. That's why I love traditional medicinals. It's like, whoa, you guys actually kept your natural flavors out of there when every other tea company's putting them in. Amazing. But if someone doesn't call me back after I find something wrong with a supplement company out there and they don't call me back, or they call me back and say, well, Mr. William, we really can't change the rules just because of you and your people. I say, okay, good to know. Good to know. I'm out of here. Let's, there we go. And so vitamin C is inside celery juice. It doesn't need to be converted. I mean, I take the Vimergy vitamin C because it's still incredible and powerful, and your body converts it, because your body converts every vitamin C in every food. You eat any food on the planet and you take any vitamin C supplement you want on the planet, your body still has to convert it. Your liver has to convert the vitamin C. It has to. So I take the Vimergy vitamin C, which my liver converts, but then I drink the celery juice. And when I drink that celery juice, boy, it turns that Vimergy vitamin C into it even, and it upgrades it to a whole nother level. And that was already upgraded to another level. And then you drink the vitamin C, and that's in celery juice, that doesn't have to be converted, and bam, you got this combination to help your gums. Medical Medium Celery Juice book, the book. I talk about all of this, directions with oral therapies in the book, with all these different things, with the gums and the teeth and the mouth and everything from mouth ulcers to all of this. And cavities. It's important to know this. And gum disease. And I talk about oral therapies for these in the Medical Medium Celery Juice book. You really need the book, because I can't ever cover everything that's in that book. There's just no way. I can't cover it. I just can't do it on the podcasts, on these lives. So I can't do it. So let's talk about, look, gum disease. That's a whole thing right now that celery juice helps. Low hydrochloric acid. Go into that a little bit. First of all, gum disease from bacteria. Well, you're drinking your celery juice to kill bacteria. You're drinking your celery juice to raise your HCl, like I was talking about earlier, and that kills off bacteria. Okay, hydrochloric acid. You're drinking celery juice to enter into the stomach glands. That's what you're doing. You're entering the sodium cluster salts in celery juice enter into the stomach glands, and the vitamin C too enters into the stomach glands. Helps to revamp them, refurbish them, restore them. Because that's what you want. You want those stomach glands nice and strong so they can produce HCl to break down proteins and fats so they're not rotting, creating ammonia and dissolving your teeth as decades go by. So that's a whole nother thing there. The high-fat protein diet, got to be careful. If you're plant-based, lower the high-fat protein diet. You're going to get tons of protein plant-based, tons of protein. When you're plant-based, it's all protein. It's all protein. But you got to bring down your fats. And not overdo it on the nut butters and the oils and all that, and 4 avocados a day. And you just got to be careful. You got to bring it down to leafy greens and celery juice. Lots of leafy greens, lots of celery juice, and lots of fruit. And if you want to do the cooked vegan plant-based thing and you want to do cooked, you do the steamed potatoes. You do that kind of thing. Steamed potatoes, you could do the steam, all the different stuff in 369 cleanse, the liver rescue book. You can do all the different options that are there. You can do the spinach soups that aren't cooked, the raw spinach soups, and you can do the cooked steamed asparagus. You can do steamed cauliflower. You can do all of that. You can make it taste good in many different ways. But the point is you got to lower the fat is what I'm trying to tell you. Animal protein diets shouldn't be eating animal protein 3 times a day. Just like a plant-based diet, shouldn't be eating nuts 3 times a day. It has nothing to do whether I like plant, if I'm against animal or against plant or against whatever. I know that the vegans of plant-based people, they're fighting the paleo people. Paleo people are fighting the vegan people. They're throwing fake science back and forth constantly at each other. Meanwhile, hardcore, real, true science doesn't like either one of them. It's crazy how it works. What science is real and what science is not? How can you trust science anymore? How can you trust science when hardcore conventional science doesn't like any kind of science that any of the alternative therapies are doing? So what science is real or not? Incredible. And they'll be like, oh, there's no science behind medical medium or celery juice. Come on, get real. It's incredible how it works. So the fats go rancid in the stomach and intestinal tract and line the walls. And the celery juice helps to stop that. Protein rots. Celery juice helps to stop that. That when the protein rots, it causes ammonia gas that eats away at the gums and teeth. Celery juice stops that. Celery juice helps strengthen the hydrochloric acid. It strengthens the bile inside the liver so you can break down fats. I have oral therapy directions in the celery juice book. And talk about root canals for a couple of minutes. You don't have a lot of options if you get a cavity that goes so deep into the pulp of the tooth, and next thing you know it into the nerve, and then you got to get a root canal. It's either that or you get the tooth pulled and removed, and then no root canal, and you got to get an implant, and you got to get a titanium or ceramic implant, and that's difficult for people all on its own. So which is better and better? Which isn't better? I'm not into just ripping out all root canals, thinking that that's the root of everybody's sickness. People's root of their sicknesses are their Epstein-Barr viruses, their HHV6 viruses, their shingles viruses, their bacteria inside their body, not just the bacteria that could be harboring around a root canal. That's a different kind of bacteria. I'm talking about the streptococcus that actually gives us sinus infections, the sore throats, the styes in the eyes, that causes ulcers deep in the gut, rips apart people's guts, that it causes all kinds of IBS, inflammation. It causes Crohn's, can cause, even irritate people's intestinal tract, causing constipation, gas and bloating, gastritis. The streptococcus causes all that. UTIs, bladder infections. And that's just to name a few. Bacterial vaginosis, pelvic and PID, pelvic inflammatory disease. All of these things are streptococcus, are strep related. And so, that alone is the bacteria causing a lot of problems, never mind a root canal. So I'm cautious when it comes to root canals. I don't tell people get all your root canals pulled out, and they don't do that. You're going to not have any teeth and have to get all implants. So it's a tricky situation where I know root canals aren't great. I know they're not the best thing in the world at all. It's just a technique we use to keep teeth when there's so many other techniques that just they're difficult too. And here's what I'm talking about by the root canal. Here's the real problem about them. People getting them for no reason. That's what I'm scared about. That's what I stand behind. I don't want you getting a root canal for no reason. I don't want you getting a root canal when you didn't have to get one. Meaning there's pain in your jaw and teeth from a virus like the shingles virus affecting your nerves, and then the dentist doesn't even know what to do anymore, and they're picking on teeth that may have problems but may not. Next thing you know, they're drilling them all out, and they're knocking teeth out because they're trying to give you all root canals. Celery juice helps by killing viruses that create unnecessary root canals, is what I'm trying to say, along with other medical medium information. You guys know, you get the books and have the information. And it kills off bacterial infections that are behind root canals, if that's what people are worried about. Absolutely. Celery juice helps with that. So does the vitamin C, like the Vimergy vitamin C or the vitamin C inside celery juice. People's mouths are loaded with unproductive bacteria. People have over 30 varieties minimum of strep, H. pylori, staph. Bacteria is not even on the radar for the most part in medical research and science. Barely on the radar. Nobody cares about it. They just care about genes. Getting grants and money, massive amounts of money for genes. Unbelievable. And also massive amounts of money to protect the autoimmune therapy. The autoimmune theory, where people are getting steroid therapies and treatments and stuff like that for their autoimmune and getting hurt. Look, you know, bacteria produces gases. It messes up our mouth and teeth for decades. And then, as a time capsule, it opens up and we have problems. It's not the one piece of fruit you ate last week. Celery juice, or the 10 pieces of fruit you ate yesterday. Celery juice is like a disinfectant. The sodium cluster salts are powerful. I'm going to tell you something right now. My great-grandfather, who I knew, he ate fruit all the time. I mean, he lived to be really old, ate fruit all the time, lived off of it, grew it, and lived off of it. Okay? And his teeth problems were minimal compared to everybody else and what they were going through. His teeth had no problems for years and years and years into his 70s. No problems at all. Nothing going into his 70s. Never mind going into his 80s and so forth and beyond. And he ate more fruit than I've ever eaten in my life. More fruit than I've ever even eaten. And I'm not even using him as an example. I'm just telling you. It's not what people cracked up about. It's not what, if you're eating a few oranges, it's not going to rot your teeth. It's everything I covered in this show in detail that causes problems and it being like a time capsule. Canker sores. Canker sores is a variety of herpes. Celery juice helps by killing the virus. Then you got simplex 1. People have all that simplex 1 in their mouth and in their jaw and trigeminal nerve and all that. They got the simplex 1 virus. That's the herpes virus. Cold sores. We can call them cold sores. I love how we call them cold sores. No, that's simplex herpes 1. Cold sore? That's what they call it because they don't want anybody to be like, knowing what's going on so you can do something about it. See, no one thinks they can, who wants to do anything about a cold sore? But let me tell you, when you know it's simplex 1, because that's what a cold sore is, you're like, what can I do? Now that's what we do. We make sure you do the right supplements, the right things, all the stuff I talk about, and you clean that thing up and get rid of it. Or I have oral therapies and just using celery juice for cold sores, which are simplex 1. I have many other oral therapies that I share about in Medical Medium Celery Juice book on sore throats, oral therapy, swollen glands in the mouth, tonsil stones, tooth abscesses, toothaches, and receding gums too. If you have cavities, and if you get cracks in the corners of your mouth, that too as well. Oral therapies using celery juice. And it's important to know. Go to the library if you can't get a celery juice book. Get one for free. Everybody go to the library. I don't care. Get it out for free and read it. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to me. Because I want people to get the material. I want them to heal. Because that's what it's all about. Because that's what matters in the end. The celery juice book, you can, you can be in your own personal library too. You're not going to be disappointed. You can get it at Costco's. You get it at Target. You can get it at Barnes & Noble. Those are places you can go. They're supporting medical medium information so we can all heal. And it's mind-blowing, really. It's incredible, really. Even Books A Million has it. Chapters Indigo in Canada. You can get the books. Book Depository overseas. And the whole thing is, with having knowledge, I can't believe it. The whole thing with knowledge is power, right? That's a phrase that's been around forever. Knowledge is power. We've heard that. It's all out there, right? It's what kind of knowledge is power? Because knowledge isn't power. It's not. When it's knowledge that's misconceptions, theory-based, agenda-driven, interest-driven, interest with money-driven, celery juice isn't driven with all that. Every single trend out there is propelled by money to shove it down our throats, whether it works or not or never did. Every single one of them. So what's knowledge is power if it's not the right knowledge? We got to make sure it's the right knowledge. It's critical. It's absolutely critical because that determines if it's going to be powerful, and that determines if it's going to be powerful. Well, the millions of people healing, drinking their celery juice right now around the world, that's the knowledge we're talking about. Heavy metal detox smoothie, that's the knowledge we're talking about. All of that. So I'm just going to tell you guys right now, I believe in you. I believe in your healing process. I believe in you moving forward. I believe in everything that you're doing. But let's plug in all of the information, and this being one of them, like the medical medium celery juice and the celery juice, let's plug that into what you're doing and make sure you move forward and move the needle and start to heal, because I know so many people have suffered and been through so much. When you're going to doctor year after year, 10 years, 20 years. I can't tell you how many people say, I was sick 20 years ago, been going to doctors for 20 years with the worst fatigue. I found the medical medium information. I finally pulled out of it. I can't tell you how many people say that. And many stories just like it with different illnesses and conditions. And they tried all the alternative stuff that was out there in the world. They tried the best of everything. Because just like the celery juice and the other medical medium information, it comes from a higher source above all that interest group and funding and above all that stuff. It's a pure, clean information. It's there for you to heal. So partake in it. And like I always say, I can hand it to you. It doesn't mean you're going to do it. I can hand it to you and you can smack it out of my hand. Or you can take it and be like, I get it. I get it. I know I have to do this and get better. I love you guys, and I really appreciate it being on the show with me and care about you. Take one day at a time. I believe in you, and let's move forward together. Bless your heart. Bye.